Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Shakyamuni, the 130th verse from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. All tremble at the rod. Life is dear to all. Comparing others with oneself, one should neither strike nor cause to strike. Thus spoke the Blessed One. Thus echoed a truth that flows through all realms like a quiet river beneath visible forms. In the time of the Buddha, there lived a group of boys who delighted in play, yet were careless in compassion. For near the monastery they would strike fish with sticks, laughing as life trembled beneath their hands. And nearby the Buddha walked with his disciples, silent as the morning light, observing without anger, yet seeing with wisdom. And he asked the monks to reflect upon the pain of those beings whose bodies shuddered at the touch of violence. And the monks replied that fear arises in all who cling to life. And the Buddha spoke this verse to awaken the heart, teaching that just as one fears pain and death, so do all beings fear the rod. And in that moment the children ceased their play. Their laughter dissolved into stillness, and understanding entered like a soft rain, for the truth did not scold but revealed itself gently, showing that the measure of one's own fear is the mirror by which one understands the fear of others. And thus the rod fell from the hand, and compassion rose within the heart. This verse is not bound to one time or place, for it breathes within every moment where one life meets another. And its meaning unfolds like a lotus opening petal by petal, for when the Buddha speaks of trembling, he speaks not only of flesh that shakes, but of the subtle quivering of consciousness that recoils from harm. And when he speaks of life being dear, he reveals the universal wish to continue, to breathe, to feel warmth, to seek peace. And when he teaches comparison with oneself, he offers a bridge between isolation and understanding, a bridge built not of thought alone, but of feeling known deeply and then extended outward. In this verse, the Dharma flows as a river of non-harming, and its current washes away the dust of cruelty that accumulates through ignorance. And the heart that listens without defense begins to recognize itself in every form, in every eye that closes at the approach of danger, in every body that withdraws from pain. The rod here is not only a stick held in the hand, but every harsh word, every sharp thought, every intention that presses down upon another being's peace. And trembling is not only fear of physical pain, but the shrinking of trust, the collapse of safety, the fading of joy when violence appears, whether coarse or subtle. Thus the Buddha teaches through reflection rather than command, inviting one to enter one's own experience of fear and care, and from that place to see clearly that to strike another is to strike oneself through the web of shared existence. In this teaching there is no condemnation, only illumination, for ignorance is dispelled not by force but by insight, and when insight dawns, the hand naturally releases the rod, the tongue softens its edge, the mind loosens its grip on anger. And compassion arises not as an effort, but as a recognition. This verse carries the fragrance of empathy, reminding us that all beings move through the world with vulnerability as their constant companion, and that strength is not found in domination but in restraint, not in causing fear but in protecting peace. The Buddha does not divide beings into worthy and unworthy of kindness, for trembling knows no boundary of species, status, or belief, and life is cherished equally by the smallest insect and the greatest king, each clinging to existence with the same silent plea to be spared harm. To compare oneself with others is not to judge, but to align, to feel within one's own chest the desire to be safe, and then to allow that feeling to radiate outward like light filling a room, touching every corner without preference. In this way, the verse becomes a living practice, guiding steps, shaping speech, calming the mind, and opening the heart, until non-harming is no longer a rule remembered, but a way of being embodied. The true story bound to this verse is not finished in ancient times, for it continues wherever a hand pauses before striking, wherever a voice chooses gentleness over harshness, wherever a thought of revenge dissolves into understanding. And thus the Dharma walks the earth anew. The Buddha's compassion does not thunder. It whispers. It invites. It trusts that the heart, once shown its own reflection in another, will choose wisely. In listening to this verse, one listens not only with ears but with the whole being, allowing the truth to settle like morning dew upon the mind, cool and clear, awakening a resolve that needs no vow spoken aloud, for it is written quietly in awareness itself. Here the Dharma stands complete, not as doctrine but as lived wisdom, asking nothing more than honesty with one's own fear and sincerity in extending care to all who share that fear. And from this simple recognition unfolds a path vast and deep, gentle yet transformative, carrying the practitioner toward peace without leaving any being behind. From this understanding, the heart begins to walk a quieter path, seeing that the world is not divided into those who matter and those who do not, but is a single field of sentient life where every breath leans towards safety and every consciousness seeks refuge from fear. And when this is seen, the Dharma speaks without sound, teaching that restraint is not loss but freedom, and gentleness is not weakness but clarity. And the one who does not strike is not defeated but awakened, for in non-harming the mind is no longer entangled in remorse, no longer burdened by the echo of pain it has caused, and thus it rests lightly within the present moment. The verse of trembling reveals that fear is a shared language spoken silently by all beings, and when one listens deeply to this language, arrogance dissolves, superiority fades, and the illusion of separateness loosens its grip, allowing compassion to arise naturally like a spring uncovered beneath hard soil. In this seeing, the rod transforms into mindfulness. The force once used to control becomes the strength to protect, and the energy of anger is transmuted into the resolve to care, for when the heart understands suffering, it no longer wishes to add weight to the world. The Dharma here is simple yet immeasurable, asking only that one pause and feel, that one remember one's own wish to be free from harm, and let that remembrance guide every movement of body, speech, and mind. Each step taken without violence becomes an offering. Each word spoken without cruelty becomes a blessing. Each thought released from hatred becomes a lamp lighting the path for oneself and others. This is how the teaching ripens, not through fear of consequence, but through intimacy with truth. For when one sees clearly, one cannot unsee. And when one knows that life is dear to all, one's actions naturally bow toward care. The Buddha's wisdom does not demand perfection, but invites sincerity, knowing that the path unfolds moment by moment, and that even the intention to refrain from harm plants seeds that will one day flower into peace. In this way, the verse becomes a mirror held before the mind, reflecting back every impulse to strike, whether with hand or thought, and offering a gentle reminder to choose another way, a way that aligns with the deepest wish of all beings to live without fear. As this practice deepens, the practitioner begins to sense the interconnectedness of all trembling lives, understanding that to protect another is to protect oneself, and to cause fear is to wound the shared body of existence. Compassion then is no longer selective, but flows evenly, touching friend and stranger, human and animal, near and far, seen and unseen. Because the truth of trembling erases artificial boundaries. The heart trained in this way becomes vast yet tender, firm in principle yet soft in expression, capable of standing against harm without becoming harmful, capable of refusing violence without cultivating hatred. This is the middle way expressed through kindness, a strength that does not need to dominate, a clarity that does not need to condemn. When the rod is laid down, peace does not only arise outside, it settles within, and the mind discovers a quiet joy unshaken by circumstance, born from the knowledge that one's presence in the world no longer adds to suffering. This joy is subtle, like a steady flame protected from wind, nourished by ethical conduct and sustained by understanding. And it illuminates the path ahead even in times of darkness. The Dharma thus teaches that liberation is inseparable from compassion, that wisdom without kindness is incomplete, and that the awakening of one heart contributes to the easing of many hearts, because all lives are woven together by the same longing to be safe, to be free, to be at peace. When one lives in harmony with this truth, every encounter becomes an opportunity to practice, every moment a chance to choose care over harm, patience over force, understanding over reaction. The verse then is no longer recited but lived, its meaning expressed through quiet gestures, attentive listening, and a steady refusal to cause pain. And through this living expression, the Dharma continues to breathe in the world. May those who hear these words allow them to sink gently into the heart, not as instruction imposed from outside, but as recognition arising from within, remembering that the Buddha spoke not to command but to awaken, not to divide but to unite, not to frighten but to free. In this freedom, the heart stands upright and open, meeting the world without fear, because it has chosen not to be a source of fear. And in choosing this, it aligns itself with the timeless compassion of the awakened ones. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amitba. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.